This is the One Piece Podcast, episode 548 for the week of December 3rd, 2018. My name is Alex.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
This week on the One Piece Podcast, we will be going over this week's manga chapter number 926, Excavation Labor Camp, as well as some Piece Together. The anime is off this week, today on the show, let's do our robot roll call. First of all, we've got our very special guest, translator for One Piece and Weekly Shonen Jump, Stephen Paul.
No robocalls, please. The midterms are over. I'm good. Hey, guys.
Jill is also here.
Yes, hello. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah to you.
Thank you.
And, of course, Eisner-nominated comic book artist and friend of us all is Joey Weiser.
Pro.
We'll send you cheesy movies. But before we do that, do we have any news to go over this week?
Well, I mean, I guess the big news is all of the releases that are just coming out today or tomorrow, depending on when you listen to this or what time zone you're in. Because we have Volume 91 is out, some more Viva cards are out, and so there's a bunch of new information floating around. But I guess we'll probably get to that whenever our schedule allows us.
And also the One Piece 2019 calendar is out, in case anyone wants to order it. It's always a crapshoot. I've ordered it from 2 places. Let's see if I get one.
Do they have a sexy one out yet?
Probably. That's probably easier to get than the one I'm trying to buy.
So what happens? You order it and then they send you a message later that it's sold out or something?
Yeah, but then sometimes like middle of the way through December, it'll show up at the Kino in Chicago, like because they put it on a boat and it took 3 weeks to get there. So I mean, I might still be able to pick one up there, but if you're in the Chicago area, I might be looking to unload one in January if I've accidentally bought 2.
Good luck.
I'm sure I could find at least one Piece fan here.
Sure.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Well, there's some other news. We have a little bit of a breaking news. Thanks to Hunter's Fan for making us aware of this. But J-World will be closing in February.
Oh man, 6 years, 7 years. They said.
Yeah, it was like 6 years, something like that. Yeah.
I remember announcing it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and actually, can you remind us where is J-World located? What is that?
It's located in Namco Namja Town. So, I had a bit of a breakdown the first time so stupid. So stupid. What the hell is a Namja? What?
Too sad.
Anyway, if anyone could go back and find wherever that was announced, that'd be good blooper.
Yeah.
Stupid Namco Namja Town.
In addition to that, on the official One Piece YouTube page, there is a sequel to the a little while ago, Mayumi Tanaka and Kappa Yamaguchi, the voice actors for Luffy and Usopp, did a little bit of a VTube thing where they basically put on mocap suits and did fun stuff as their One Piece characters.
That's the old virtual idol thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, they do that stuff.
So there is a sequel to that on the official One Piece YouTube page, which is Kazuya Nakai and Cho, Zoro and Brook, respectively, doing their own shtick, as well as plugging the crap out of One Piece Volume 91. It's a very cute video, pretty fun.
Oh, there was also that video on that posted some of the. It was posted online, I think. That Maddie made us aware of the revision process for the cover of the most recent volume.
Yeah,
that was so cool.
Yeah,
and I think the official staff account eventually posted the video too, or some official One Piece account posted it at some point.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing that kind of thing before. Very neat.
Yeah, it was really cool. It led some folks, myself included, to wonder if any of Oda's process is digital now, because it seemed like at least the sketching part that they posted was probably being drawn digitally, because you see him moving around parts and blowing things up and shrinking them and whatnot.
Yeah, I think I talked about this a little bit on the One Piece magazine volume 4 that we did in the past few weeks, because there was a similar. He shows a process. Obviously, it's not a video; it's a series of images in the magazine for his illustration of Luffy and Katakuri sharing a merienda with some donuts, and it is very similar. You can see, that it's very clearly a digital process, and he's sketching things, and he sort of draws out a little blocky version and then erases it, draws a more refined one, and then moves it around and changes stuff as he adds things and so on. So I think he does that more often, or that's like his experimental time, is when he's doing like manga pages where he's free. He feels free to mess around with like digital tools and stuff like that. So
yeah, cool. I was wondering if possibly, because that video ends with just like a very refined looking sketch, but it's still not the finished drawing. If maybe he then prints that out and traces or paints over it or something.
Yeah. I have not gotten my volume yet, so I haven't had like a real close up examination of the image itself. So,
but it's really cool. It's like I can't remember his name, but the big dog is in the background, and yeah,
Camacho. Yes, yeah, not Roman Reigns. It's no.
And stuff. So it's pretty neat to see the initial sketch and how it changed from there to the final image.
Yeah, I think the ability to do stuff digitally, is Oda's probably experimenting with doing more stuff like this, and I'd be interested to see him continue to do stuff like this. Very neat. Also worth noting, on the YouTube page or the One Piece YouTube channel, the banner has an original Oda illustration of all 9 Straw Hats plus Vivi and also Jinbei. So that's worth
all the Straw Hats.
All of the Straw Hats.
Wasn't that in the Viva cards though? Someone mentioned today that Jinbei is Vivi is listed as a former member and Jinbei is a current crew member.
Yes.
Thank God.
Jinbei is officially the 10th member of the crew and the helmsman. That is on
everybody
the Viva
got
card.
that.
Good. Now that I have my coffee, I can rock radar. All right. Great. So if that covers it, if anybody else doesn't have anything else to say, then we can move right along to the Manga.
I have something I would like to say.
Sure, yeah.
Well, first of all, that banner is cute. I mean, if you don't awe when you see Frankie resting his head on Sanji's or Brooke getting cozy with Zoro, you have no soul.
Kozo with Zo's.
Good try.
Yeah, right. I don't think this was mentioned, but I just saw this on my Twitter feed. I wanted to bring this up. Shonen Jump tweeted that today is the date in late 2002, 16 years ago, that the first printed version of English Shonen Jump was released. So that means it's been 16 years since the U.S. was exposed to the One Piece manga officially.
Right
yeah,
on.
and I guess that's the first time for a lot of you to have gotten into it.
I have been reading One Piece for 16 years. I don't want to talk about how old I am.
Oh, come on.
You're the youngest, almost the youngest person on this show.
Yeah. I don't know how old you are, making me feel old by proxy.
Hey, Jill's younger. Everyone shut up. Happy 16th birthday. Everyone shut up.
All right. Well, while I put some ointment on my hip, let's go to the next segment, shall we?
All right.
This is the manga recap for chapter 926, Excavation Labor Camp. Ed, what's going on the cover page?
Well, it's Lion Chopper studying medicine with a scholarly stork and a turtle by Onangcher. And again, following the shonen trope of a crane master and a turtle master.
I think this settles the long debate of whether or not sea turtles are reptiles or mammals.
They're birds.
Because this scholarly turtle has a fucking beard. They're mammals.
Wait, hold on. Where are its titties?
Get this turtle off of Tumblr.
They got
Is it allowed on
deleted when they got posted on Tumblr. So.
And this bird has a mustache.
today.
What gives?
It's male presenting Turtle.
I've got nipples. Can you milk me? Now,
That's
he
not
actually,
the first time that joke has been made on this
No.
podcast.
No, it is not. You may be wondering, gosh, that looks like a lot of very fine writing on those signs in the background. I wonder if that is legible. And the answer is yes, it is.
Oh, boy.
Kind of. So, our original TIFF files, which are basically print quality, they're like 6,000 by 8,000 resolution. And on there, you can sort of half make out the words. They're very scribbly, but they include some medical terminology such as drug, laxative, painkiller, antibiotic, ointment for Alex's knee, digestive, disinfectant, gargle, analgesic, and I think that's about all I can make out.
And the book
And then a
says,
bunch of them-
it says pharma. What was it? Pharma.
Pharmaceutic.
Yeah, in Germany, and again because as we've talked about, German medical terms have made their way in Japan. So.
And then a bunch of these terms are also repeated on the inside of the book that the stork is holding.
What a redundant library.
Yeah,
I think I see disinfectant in there.
that's it. This is the kind of setting to yes, let me peruse this tome. Ointment, yes, indeed. Digestive. Mm-hmm.
It's like a library for first graders. I do see drug on there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Page. Move to the first page. You get the Land of Wano, flower capital. It's still weird to me that the castle's on top of the tree and the tree is bent like that. Still weird. But someone in the crowd calls out another sighting. There's been another and I guess this is like the newsman with his holding his newspaper aloft and singing the news. He says, "There's been another ghost sighting, folks. A tale to chill the bones." Woo! I don't know why there's music there. I gotta sing. The latest
ghosts are singing,
the latest update about the ghost sightings of the northern graveyard. Reports of a Hitokiri, or man killer, striking on the 8th block of District 2. The culprit, the infamous Hitokiri Kamazo, the man with the scythe. We all know it's him. They can never catch him.
Hey, kind of like our president.
Oh.
Yeah. He's got some hair there. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Unlike our president.
Long, beautiful hair.
But there's also meanwhile another attack by Ushimitsu Kozo, the boy who strikes at the 3rd hour of the bull. Do we know what the 3rd hour of the bull is?
I think that's like 2:30 a.m. or something like that.
Okay.
It's similar to the we'll see at the bottom of the page, but the the archaic forms of telling time for Japan.
Right. So this Ushimitsu Kozo, he steals from the rich and gives to the poor in their row houses. Is he hero or knave? Who is this mysterious fellow? And we get here an eek, it's Ushimitsu. I almost said Yoshimitsu. That'd be much different. But we see that he has a crescent moon on his ankle, and Usopp is walking by, and someone says, "I'll take one of those." I guess he means one of the newspapers. The newsman continues to call again. "Gather round, buy your own. This special issue's got all the scoops." But we're to assume this is Ushimitsu Kozo here with the. Maybe.
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. Well, it's some Kozuki because you can see the tattoo. But
I definitely thought it was Ushimitsu at first, and then as we kind of go on to see a bunch of other random Kozuki sympathetics, I was just kind of like, this might just be a random guy. It's hard to say.
Could be. But so he sees that someone has slipped a card into his newspaper, the reverse crescent moon. He's excited by this. Who did that? But
I noticed. So Ushimitsu strikes at the 3rd hour of the bull. I think it's worth noting that Ushi means bull.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's
and Mitsu is 3. So
yeah.
It's part of his name. That's why I sort of wrote it all out like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Ushimitsu was he the other besides Ashira Doji and
there was Kawamatsu and there was Denjiro, I think.
Yeah.
Were the other names mentioned.
Ed, not to correct you, but I know you were saying that this guy was reading a newspaper. That's not how I read this page.
Did you read it as like Usopp passing off the note or something?
That's what I thought.
The way the samurai is just this samurai's walking by. Someone
Yeah,
buying.
he's not holding anything.
One newspaper, please. That's happening off screen.
Mm-hmm.
What Usopp is doing here is he's kind of just doing like the reverse pickpocket,
okay.
and slipping into this guy's clothes.
Yeah.
And then this guy's like, wait a second. And sorry if I heard you wrong. I thought you said like, oh, this guy's
no. That's probably right. I only got to read this once before we started the show. So.
Mm-hmm.
A busy day.
Yeah.
Today.
So I believe that is actually what's happening. Not to be all well actually.
I don't know. It could be important. Anyway, let's move on to the next page. Joey, tell us about this.
Yeah, and I
this
think
rogues gallery of people here.
Yeah, I think that's what we're seeing here. Then in this montage is folks like Usopp and Shachi and Penguin and Beppo, I assume, with the thing over his head. I think what they're doing is doing that same thing, is sort of secretly passing on this note to people that have that tattoo. And yeah, we get to see some interesting looking folks. It'll be interesting to see if any of them turn out to be, forefront characters, or if they're going to just be background people. But we get a guy with like a super elaborately carved goatee. It looks kind of like a crane or like a bird or something. I don't know.
There's a guy with mutton chops at the top there too, and the one at the bottom who looks like a character from Golden Kamuy.
I was gonna say it looked like a Tezuka drawing, because I think a mixture of that screen tone for the background and his like hairstyle and big eyebrows and stuff, he just looks very old school manga.
The dude with the beard looks like a Daruma doll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I love this kind of setup, this visual implication that like they're just sort of like walking around with these little stacks of flyers, and they're just looking for the right people so they can like hand them off like, hey dude, you want a party? Hey, you want a party?
Party of the century.
Yeah.
It's your nice guy.
So these people start to wonder, has the Kazuki clan returned? And we see some other people kind of discussing amongst themselves whether or not this is legit. And one says, why be suspicious? This is the great spark that they needed. And says like, well, I'm going. And then we see an older guy, and this is some interesting information that he puts out. He says that, if he were younger, he would definitely want to fight, but he's wondering what they're going to do for weapons, because no one but samurai are allowed to carry katana now by the law. And we hear then that Orochi has banned all dojos for sword, karate, and judo, and removed all combat training, thus uprooting any organized rebellion against him. To which we see, I think this is the same guy at the top that said that he was going, saying that he doesn't care. He'd fight barehanded if he has to, and that this is their final chance. It's what I've been waiting for. My body trembles with the urge to join battle. And then in the bottom panel here, right after we'd been told that no one's allowed to have swords, we see Usopp just flailing a sword around in public, saying, come one, come all. If you've no haste with time to spare, then step right up and see my wares.
It's okay. It's Usopp's rubber sword.
See my vest.
Yeah, there's a little Lyle Lanley there in Usopp's styling.
I like the super giant person in the background, that big-headed person with a bandana that's looking at them.
My wares aren't for you. They're more of a Kano kind of thing.
A Kanoville idea.
Yeah, let He-Man fight. Come on, he wants to fight so bad. He's got the He-Man hair.
Yeah, Prince Adam. Looks like Prince Adam ate Orko.
And I forget their names.
Man at Arms.
I was trying to think of the guy who likes to tackle.
Jill's next.
Yep.
Thank God.
There's a guy with a big claw, a big crab claw, and then a little crab claw. I remember that guy.
I think his name was not Clawful. It's some sort of dumb pun. Like
Clawhador.
Clawhador.
Everyone's fake name is Clawhador.
Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
Okay, so we go off onto a residence. They're like, no geisha is needed here. I won't have anyone approaching this room. And then they're having some kind of shady dealing. Do we know who these guys are, or is this the first time they popped up?
No, I mean, just by the dialogue, that's all we're supposed to know is that they're corrupt officials, because that's what corrupt officials say in every Japanese crime movie.
I love how Oda's laying it on real thick here with the little stone lanterns and the bamboo and the koi pond. Like, it's all in this, cramming it all into one panel. These are some fancy guys.
So they're doing what corrupt people do, and they're ordering armor and weapons. And they were like, "Oh, is there going to be a war?" I don't know what goes on across the sea. Apparently, they just fund it. And then above them, there is Nami peering out of the ceiling with a spyglass, listening in on their conversation. And these guys, I don't know which one's quirk is which, but "you're a wicked fellow," and then he's like, "I am." Like, he doesn't understand that he's like a corrupt government official. This is just what goes on for him.
Well, I think it's more like, so the guy with the dark hair who keeps doing the kind of doing the count laugh, he like, that seems to be his catchphrase, is it's a very like sort of typical Japanese thing, like, "Oh, you are a wicked guy, oh, what a devious idea you've come up with." And he's like saying it in these like semi inappropriate moments where it's like, that didn't really have anything to do with what I said, but all right. And so that's why the other guy is like, huh? Okay.
And yeah, so Nami's looking with the spyglass, and Shinobu's talking about how she is too old to do it herself, so she's coaching Nami on how to get the information from the documents. And Nami's trying to search around the guy's head when suddenly he notices the kind of obvious spyglass with Nami's giant eyes sticking out of the ceiling.
Why did she stick it through the whole crap?
I know, right?
See closer, Steven.
Yeah, I loved this because I just finished watching this like old-timey Japan crime, procedural type show where there was so many just like secret dealings, and then someone would be just sitting on the other side of the room peering through a hole in the like paper walls and stuff, and it just seemed so obvious. It's like, somebody's right there, can't you see them?
And
you see their boom mic.
yeah, so it looks like they've been had. Newbie Konichi Onami there, looking cute in her outfit that she's made as appropriate as possible with what she's been given.
I like it.
Yeah. It's pretty cute. And like a Bacento or something just shoots out through the ceiling. And Nami is screaming, but in her head, or whispering, one of those, whatever that denotes. And Shinobu is just outright screeching, because that is what ninjas do. I have watched Naruto. And she's like, "You don't have to shout so loud." Shinobu doesn't respond. She's screaming throughout the entire ceiling, which has a bunch of headroom. And it's like, who goes there? And I assume with every like jab, it's who goes there? Who goes there? Who goes there? And finally Nami just reaches over and just like, in like what's kind of terrifying looking, just grabs Shinobu's mouth horizontally. So
Doesn't seem to help.
no, does not.
She just
Can't
screaming
grab
through
her
it.
whole mouth. It's just too big.
I don't know if you guys remember. I forget the context myself, but I was talking about this not too long ago, that about a saying that, who is it? Zoro maybe was saying it, where it was something about like, oh, if you're a true ninja or you're a samurai, like when they stick their spear through the ceiling, you're supposed to wipe the blood off of the blade, like as they pull it out, and you don't make a sound so that they can't tell that you're up there. So that's literally kind of what the situation is they're hiding up above, in the crawl space, and the guy is trying to stab them through the ceiling, and
But much less cool, like follow through.
yeah. He's just tearing up the property values there. So yes, on the next page, we get a long shot of the mansion here, and they're shouting, "There's an intruder among the eaves!" And quick thinking Nami makes a little cat noise to try to throw them off, but Shinobu is still screaming, "Ah!" And so they're like, "Oh wait, no, it's an intruder and a cat."
Yes, that's right.
and then she takes off. Shinobu finally does something useful. She uses her great kite ability, and it's sort of like a flying squirrel or something, where she's catching the wind, and they're flying off. The guys back at the place cannot find them, but Nami says your Nimpo skills are amazing. And so then it's time to say, all right, what did we find out? What did you manage to see, Onami? And Nami says, I saw the name of the port and the shipment day. And Shinobu says, that's perfect. So then we'll know when and where the weapons are showing up so that we can snatch them. So there you go. There's the answer already, is where will we get the weapons? We don't even need the details. It's just going to happen now.
So this is weapons made in Wano that they sell for export. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And I guess I mean I don't know if it's supposed to be insinuated that these guys are doing this like outside of Orochi's purview, or if like they're just sort of part of this whole corrupt administration, this tyrannical administration that is removing the rights of the citizens, and they're just letting these guys do whatever they want. But at any rate, that will solve that question. And as they swoop away into the sunset, Shinobu says, "By the way, did I ever tell you that I have a terrible fear of pointed objects?" And Nami points out that this makes it sound like Shinobu is not really cut out for any kind of tactical work whatsoever. No kind of battle for you. And she says, "Yet there is no weapon deadlier than a mature woman." So yeah, and that earns a silent reaction from Nami. But as they swoop by, they happen to see down on the main thoroughfare here, there's an enormous snaking line of people all lined up for something. What is it for? Is it a bargain sale? No, it is the soba cart cook Sangoro, and we see him with a huge hunk of dough, and he's just chopping it up immediately into noodles. Come and have a serving, ladies. And he says, melts on your tongue, but al dente between your teeth. It's my special soba, which may be the dirtiest thing that Oda has ever written in One Piece.
Sanji's sweet cream defeated Big Mom, so I don't know if you can say that.
That is true. And Nami immediately is like, oh no, oh God. And Sanji is continuing his sales pitch. When you want the finest noodles money can buy, nothing short of Sangoro's special soba will suffice. And we see the ladies down below are at the end of the line. They're finally getting their bowl. Oh, they're practically shining. Oh, they're so chewy. It's delicious. And Nami retorts that these are not samurai that he is recruiting. And meanwhile, there is a shadowy figure who is apparently a business rival. Does that boy have any idea whose turf he's muscling in on?
My guess would be that is Guy Fieri-yama.
Yeah, he muscled into Flavortown. That's the no-no. So there's actually some very clever Japanese wordplay that I will explain right here, and you'll see why it is completely, absolutely untranslatable. So you guys may remember back a couple chapters ago when we had Caleb on, and that was a chapter where we were in, I think, Okobore town and maybe Bakura, and there were, a bunch of those little signs for different businesses and stuff. And we mentioned that there was a Nihachi soba, which is a type of soba. And Nihachi specifically refers to the ratio. It's 2 and 8, looks like 28. And it refers to like the ratio of flour. Like you use 2 parts like white flour versus 8 parts. Like the
Buckwheat.
darker, buckwheat, something like that. And so that's like a specific type. It gives you a certain type of noodle. And so in some of these lines, he's talking about, it's it's made with special Nihachi soba. And the thing is, the term for special soba, it uses a particular word in Japanese, which is ohako. And ohako is, I don't know exactly how this came about, but it's just one of those weird sort of language artifacts that refers to like your specialty or your, the thing that you are known for. But it is written with the kanji for 18. So it's pronounced ohaku, but it is written with 18. And so he makes this whole joke where, so he uses Nihachi, so 2 and 8, and it's from Sangoro, which is Sanji. He with his kanji that he uses is 3 and 5, San and Go. So 2, 8, 5, and 3 all adds up to 18 for his ohako. So it's like his whole sales pitch is this big elaborate bit of wordplay, and it was really cool. And I was like, man, there's absolutely no way this is ever going to make sense, in translation. So
that's why we have the podcast.
Shame.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah,
That was awesome. Thanks, Steven.
Next page.
At the evacuation labor camp in Udon, Wano.
Excavation. The evacuation labor camp is.
Well, they're evacuating them from society.
There we go. Nice save.
Mandatory evacuation zone.
You guys have been in. You guys are a little shell shocked from being in California.
Too soon.
When isn't it too soon? I'm a hero.
It was windy yesterday, and my first thought was fear.
Yeah, but it's supposed to rain tomorrow.
Sure.
So mudslides.
Jeez, man. I'm never moving to California.
And this is also a weapons factory. We hear, strike the iron, haul the stone. If you don't do the work, then die. And free up space for someone who can, as someone gets whipped. Not like that.
There's a whip, there's a way.
Small old man wheezes. A small little dumpling is dropped into his bowl. He says, "This is all I get for an entire day of work." And the worker says, "1/4 portion."
That guy sounds like Simon Pegg.
He says, "It's 1 millet dumpling for every 5 blocks of stone you haul." Sounds like
it's millet.
Millet? Okay.
Sorry.
I don't know.
If it was Malay, then it would be much fancier.
This is true. It is a prison.
Only the fanciest millet dumplings, yeah.
It's like, sounds like in your old age, you can't guarantee enough good work to earn the food you need, old man. Here.
I think that's his name.
That's his name.
I thought it was his laugh. So, I guess the end is not for you, huh? As he just whips him, the guy with the laughing name, the Punisher, not the Punisher.
The Punisher.
Thomas Jane is the Punisher. The punishment for speaking back to a jailer is amputation. And as these men try to comfort this old man with a laugh, no, his name is Old Man Hio. It's like, don't fight back, preserve your strength. You're gonna die. And as this jailer calls next, it's like, 4 tickets. It's a lot of hard work. 4 millet dumplings, 4. And we see running from the distance. Move it. It's like, and I'll crush anyone who dares get in my way. We see Luffy and Kid both carrying giant blocks of stone on their backs, running through the rest.
I was gonna say too. I'm not sure if this is what the reference is for, but when the guy's name is Old Man Hyo, I was kind of reminded that not his mouth, but his eyes, the very exaggerated eyes and eyebrows, kind of look like the Hyotoko masks, which are these very distinctive, traditional masks it's from a certain region of Japan where they have like, you would probably recognize them from, they have mouths that look like the guy's puckering and it's like super elongated, like he's going with his mouth. But the eyes and the eyebrows look like it's Hyotoko is the name of the thing. So I was like, oh, maybe that's what Hyo is for.
Interesting.
Yeah, that guy's character design is crazy. Like
Yeah.
he kind of looks like he would be what it reminded me of actually is Battle Angel Alita. Like the art, like the way that his like face fits together and stuff is all really weird and jumbled in a way that I don't know. It feels very strange to me.
Yeah.
All right, next page.
All right. So on the next page, Luffy and Bakugo, I mean Kid, are
Don't say.
Dare you.
on their way to deliver their gigantic blocks. Also, I think it's really admirable that that Kid managed to lift that block with just one arm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
His regular arm.
That's right, his regular arm. And the people who are loading the blocks onto the boat for transport say, "Wait, we can't hold anymore. Get the next boat over here." So they're delivering large cement blocks faster than they can take them away. And the slowpokes are berated for being so slow. And I guess the head, one of the head guys says, "How many stones does that make? I lost count around 500." Were they wearing the sea prism stone cuffs? His his expression changes almost immediately, and yes, in fact, they were wearing sea stone cuffs, and they still had that much strength. Yeah, these guys are monsters. Haven't you ever read One Piece? Then what are they capable of when the cuffs come off?
For that one, you need to read Dragon Ball.
That's right. So Kid and Luffy are demanding their food because we did the work, now feed us. Like this is, hey, you wanted us to do this, so we did it. So give us our millet. And in the next panel, Kid and Luffy are chomping down on each of them has their own modest portion of millet dumplings, which can't be too delicious, but hey, if that's the only thing you eat, you got to eat, I guess.
It was nice of them that they had the 2 novelty-sized dishes to hold these gigantic portions.
They probably had it to like tease all the other prisoners with like 1 millet in it or something.
Yeah. They kind of look like the big sake cup that
Columbus.
Yes.
Whitebeard.
Well, that too. Yeah, I was gonna say Orlumbus, or that Shanks and Whitebeard both drank out of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're basically they're sort of in competition with each other, which is very excellent. Chowing down on their millet dumplings. Luffy says, "Hey, I beat you. I got 1 more," and Kid tells him, "No way, fool! I outpaced you, clown."
Isn't this how Little Garden started?
Yeah.
What is Jaggy?
That's his hair, I assume.
Yeah. And his general look overall.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I guess this is so he says, "How many times do you have to make that trip to get to this much food?" So, another prisoner says. But yeah, Luffy calls him Jaggy, and I'm assuming that's sort of like Traffy or Torao.
Yeah, that's the feeling that I'm getting. The premonition that I'm getting is that that's going to be his like shorthand for Kid.
Oh God.
Interesting. What is it in Japanese? I'm just curious.
It's was it Gizao? So Giza is like, the onomatopoeia, or the descriptive word for something that is jagged or ragged, or it's like, it's not spiky, but it's very much not uniform in nature.
I wonder if it's because he's missing
a
an
real
arm.
jag off.
Yeah, it's a jag off.
So they banter back and forth. Luffy calls him Jaggy, and Kid calls him a stupid monkey that cannot even count. I really love this rivalry. It's super fun to watch. They're both so evenly matched. And the guards are noticing, "Oh, I thought they were both heavily injured. After a few days of working, eating, and sleeping, they seem to be the picture of perfect health now. How do their bodies even work?" That's what we're all asking constantly. And of course they ask the The eternal question: how are we supposed to break their spirits like this? Go on, say something to them. And then the guard says, "Hey, slow down and chew your food." Like, oh, what are you there, mom? And whacks him like a manzai act. Very funny.
You broke nothing.
And we hear rah in the distance. And what could that possibly be?
It's a hippo, but
It's not a frog.
nope.
Definitely not a frog.
He is enraged. He says, "Fess up! Who's the prisoner who devoured all the food in the storehouse?" That's Master Dobon. His hippo fusion's really weird. And it
That's
is
an understatement.
Yeah. Who dares to defy the vice warden? It's hard to understand him because the hippo will close its mouth whenever it feels like it.
That hippo looks like the baby hippo from the Impelled Down anime filler.
Yeah.
All grown up.
I love that it's a hippo trailer. It only has the back legs for the
Yeah.
hippo.
No, his
I
front
love
legs
that
are jutting
too.
from the jaw.
Yeah, but that's Dobon's legs, but the hippo legs are just the back ones. It's a two-legged hippo.
I love his jaunty little hat. So yeah, he's in darkness, and they can tell that he is saying something in there, but I can't tell what. But another one of the jailers says, "Here they are. These are your culprits." Hang on, I'll digest this. They've stuffed themselves silly. Never seen a prisoner get fat in here. Almost kind of jealous.
Oh my god, I love that kid. Like,
I know. Look at him. Look at
that
those
kid.
weebles.
What an absolute unit.
Oh,
I
man.
mean, like,
It's the mileage on this bad boy.
if there was any like theory as to like, oh well, the only reason Luffy gets fat when he eats is because he's made of rubber. Well, I mean,
Nope.
yeah.
Just slap him on the back. This baby could fit so many fucking millet dumplings in it.
Oh Lord, he's coming.
Okay. So it was you. Thanks to the two of you, I won't have enough for my huge portion. Does 3 measly dumplings sound right for a mouth this size? And as they shrink before his eyes. Listen up, just to warn you, if you should be bold enough to actually defy a jailer, we cut off your arms for the first infraction, and your legs for the second. Hey, look who's there! It's
Oh,
that,
some
boy.
asshole
it's that guy.
in the math.
You, Mr.
He's doing well.
Douche.
Yeah. Look at him.
Some
Anyway.
prick.
But that's not the important person right now. The important person's in the cage with the eyes, presumably the same person who flicked the fishbone. But
Yep. Well, it can't be Caribou.
no, exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
What did
Got
I say last week? Oh, I think we'll see Caribou pretty soon. I
Yeah.
think those are my
God.
words.
I'm sure we will, Steven, and we see Caribou get sucked up into a airplane turbine. I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
No, that's
So
Absalom.
it's not looking like his like very important, valuable information has done much for him.
No.
Nope. But if you do it a third time, you'll be put to death. So watch out.
Dead grandma would be spinning in her grave if she were alive to see this.
I do want to point out this is echoed again on the next page, but I think it's interesting that and very instructive as to the difference between their characters that Luffy and Kid. So they're both like mirror images of each other. They're competing and they're doing all this stuff. But you'll notice that it is Luffy who sees Old Man Hyo lying on the ground and reacts to that, and Kid has no. Kid doesn't pay any attention to him whatsoever. So I think that's like Old Man Hyo is like the foil here who demonstrates how they are different from one another.
Mm. Sort of like if they were on a D&D chart, Luffy would be lawful or chaotic good, and I guess Kid would be chaotic neutral. I'm not going to call him evil quite yet. So Dobon, by the way, Dobon's a headliner, and those are normally named after card games, right? Is that like some sort of card game that we're not familiar with?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. I'm not sure. I mean, Dobon, like the sound of the game or the name, it sounds like, I don't know. It sounds like something heavy being dropped into water, like da-boom. So I think with a hippo, like a big plotting hippo, it kind of felt felt natural to me, but I didn't even look that up to see if there was a.
Let's see. When I Google Dobon card game, I get Daifugo, the Japanese card game. So
Okay, yeah, maybe it's part of that. That's like Millionaire or Presidents.
Grand Millionaire is what it's apparently called.
Yeah.
For a second there, I was thinking Kerplunk, but it's not a card game.
Apparently, people who've read Fruits Basket might recognize that.
Oh, it says
Okay.
Dobon is a term for the ending of Japanese mahjong,
Oh, that too.
where a player loses all their points.
Interesting.
Clearly,
There's a
this
bunch of
guy lost the. Well, he got a bad hand when getting his smile ability.
Can you imagine passing out the devil fruits? They're like, oh, what's gonna happen? to
Oh
me?
yeah, I'm gonna be a hippo, the most dangerous animal known to man.
I mean,
And
that's
then-
true, actually, but he's just
Yeah.
dorky.
Super funny. But of course he says, "That's correct. You have no right to fight back." And Kid explains, "Hey, look, we're weaklings now. Our power's been drained by this sea prism stone." But they're like, I love how strong they are at this point. That they're just like sea prism stone used to make Luffy like really weak looking, but now he's sort of just like, yeah, I just don't have my powers. This is. But of course, Luffy. The only thing Luffy is concerned about is the fact that Old Man Hyo has been beaten. And you can clearly see that in this panel where he's angry. But Kid explains, look, we did honest work, and that's that. And before he can say any more, the Hippo chomps down on both of them and tells them that they're guilty of eating his food. And now you must learn. And one of the guards explains that inside of the Hippo's mouth is Master Dobon's Chamber of Slaughter.
That's the best movie in the sequence. Hippo Potter and the Chamber of Slaughter.
Writing that one down. And before they can say anything else, everybody's shocked to see that something's going on inside that there hippo. And with a wham and a crack and a hippo, Dobon falls down with a thud, and we see Luffy and Kid walk out of Dobon's mouth, Luffy with Old Man Hyo in hand. And I guess you could say that Kid is an ass-kicking fat kid. Learned it from a video game. They're walking away from the hippo, and everybody is completely shocked and sees that Vice Warden Dobon has been Doboned. But they don't seem too worried. Well, the guy's sweating, and he says, "Oh, you've done it now. The death penalty for sure." And Luffy has his favorite famous "What did I do?" face. As Kid looks menacingly and says, "Where's your proof?" And they're like, "Huh?" And all the other prisoners are ecstatic with glee and
I don't know.
cheering.
That one guy looks awfully evil there.
The one guy in the back looks like Thomas
Brown
the Tank
face?
Engine.
The emoji guy.
That is Thomas the Tank Engine.
I can verify that is indeed a Thomas the Tank Engine.
We've threatened it for years, and he's finally in one piece. Bum, 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 bum. Okay,
You already
anyway,
had Diesel, so
that's right.
Close.
Diesel, now Thomas.
Keep it going.
Nice job, you guys. Everybody, cheers. I love this panel because you can see how many prisoners are all around them, like the scale of the prison, like the background to the two quote unquote heroes in the foreground, aka the shining stars of the prison yard. So it looks like Luffy and Kid are now the big men on campus.
Look at that goofy smile on Kid's face.
Yeah, I like it. Oh man, I like the two of them. Anyway, that's the end of the chapter. To be continued, it says.
Oh shit! Wait,
What?
If Luffy and Kid got eaten by the hippo, does that mean they were the prisoners of Azkaban?
Oh my god.
What's the pun? What's the pun here?
That's
Hippo.
that's Hippo. That's Wapple's whole thing. Like you Kaba instead of Baka.
Yeah,
Oh
come on.
jeez.
Very good.
So
Okay.
would he have digested them if he ate them, or is it like the hippo digesting them?
I would assume that it's just that the
No, no.
hippo closes its mouth so they're trapped in there,
Yeah.
and he would beat them up
Yeah,
with his
like-
arms.
Is there a throat behind the hippo?
No, as
Maybe.
far I wonder because like what's his face, the lion guy.
Hold him.
Yeah, hold him.
Right.
Like it seemed like his lion belly could eat, but on the other hand, like Dobon seems to be in the way, so the hippo.
You know what? I just noticed something too, Steven. Luffy's walking away with the goblet of Hio.
Okay, no.
All right, we're all going to Azkaban for these jokes.
Yeah.
All right. So that was the chapter. Let's see what y'all thought. Let's start with Jill this week.
Okay. It wasn't bad. The first part kind of dragged. I understand it's like transitioning, showing that they're giving out the information about the Kozuki clan and everything. So I don't really mind it. It was just kind of slow. But this last part was great. Everything with Kid and Luffy is fantastic. I like them being rivals, even in a prison setting. I really like Fat Kid a lot.
Fat kid.
That fat kid.
Ass kicking fat kid.
Dobon, his character design. I don't know if like Oda has like a dartboard where he has like animals and like how he wants them combined and stuff. But this is great. I'm a little depressed that the millet bowls weren't spilled, so we didn't have like a hungry hippos like
Oh
scene
my
go on.
god.
Because that's all I could think of. But yeah, I'm excited for the prison scene. I guess it looks really good. Don't give a shit about Caribou. He could just stay in the background in every scene, and that'd be it. But yeah, I'm excited to see what comes up next.
Great. Joey.
I thought this was a really fun chapter. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I guess I didn't. One thing I didn't realize until this chapter was how big Shinobu was. Until Nami like is trying to shush her by squeezing her mouth. I shouldn't be surprised at this point how giant characters are, but yeah, she was a lot bigger than I thought. And I really love that pair of pages where we've got the kite and then Sanji cooking. I think the art on those is like really, really great, and the like composition is doing some really interesting stuff with the comics pages. Let's see. Yeah, we didn't really touch on this. The guy, the wanted poster for the guy, the Kamazo. We all assume that that's one of the other missing members with the ponytail that we keep seeing the silhouette
Yeah.
of.
It seems likely, yeah.
Yeah.
It's got a similar name, I think.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting and cool, and I liked how Oda like used this sort of like different smudgy ink style to show that, also to sort of obscure his character design a little bit, which I think is cool. Yeah, and then of course, yeah, the big sort of payoff for this chapter was that second half with Kid and Luffy, and it's fun to see. Like, Kid didn't particularly interest me, but once we actually get him having antics with Luffy, I'm starting to warm up to him a bit more. Yeah, he didn't throw it in Luffy's face that he was doing all this work with one arm, which is could have been a chip in his favor. But boy, I love Dobon. I love that character design. I just was laughing about it so much. I definitely laughed out loud when I was reading this. And yeah, my favorite feature of his is as Stephen mentioned, that he doesn't have arms or front feet, except for the feet of the human section of him sticking out of his chin, which I think is amazing. Oda is really pushing his character designs in amazing ways with these smile fruits. But yeah, that's about it. I just thought it was a really fun chapter. It does seem like, man, it was one of those things where I was like, Wano's gonna be long when we're setting up a whole like another plot with Sanji and a rival cook or something, and now we're getting this prison storyline and stuff. We're getting, now that part 2 is happening, we're setting up all sorts of other storylines to follow through, I guess.
Yeah, but now we'll have a cooking contest in canon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's all I
a
want.
true Shokugeki.
yeah, man, it'd be great.
Also,
Okay,
no
Steven.
character who looks like he's hoovering cocaine constantly.
Yeah, the man, this chapter was packed with stuff, and I guess I'll start with the last, the whole Luffy scene. Obviously, yeah, super funny. Loved a bone as well, especially like when you like, the more that you look at him, the more you realize that like his human body is like just perpetually in like a really wide leg squat too, because his legs are super far spread apart. Just, yeah, it's like stuff like that where it's just like, this is why you just can't ever give up on One Piece, or stop reading One Piece, because you just never know what kind of ridiculous design he's going to come up with next. So yeah, that was super funny, and I think it served well to I guess kind of remind us. It's like, okay, so yeah, we'll still, Luffy for now is still kind of on his own. It's not like we're being, starting off Act 2 with them breaking out of prison already, but that we get just enough to see kind of what he's doing in there in the meantime, while we're catching up on the other characters. The other stuff was all, like, I think it was really interesting, and again, like, very kind of potent material where he's just packing so much information into this stuff. And I think especially that first page with the the guy with the extra with all these little details, where like when I first started reading it, I was like, oh, wow, this is like a really in-depth story that he's describing, or a complicated story that he's describing, until I realized, oh no, these are all like separate, they're all like tabloid articles in this, this one sheet that he is selling. And it made me wonder, especially since this is, at this precise moment in the arc, we don't really know, like, okay, is any of this stuff just flavor text? Are these all characters who are going to be revealed, to be the Kozuki related samurai, like these people that we're seeing in the montage sequence? Like, are these going to be important characters, or is Oda just like, is he just having like a whole, going out of business sale, like sweepstakes on just every character design? Just dream up all of these characters. They're not even going to be characters, but we might as well just design these crazy Japanese looking guys.
It's also like Oda's been watching so many Japanese movies for the last 20 years and could not fit any of these designs that were inspired by them into any other arc, except for one based on old Japan.
Right. So it was kind of fascinating in that sense. And, even like, you can even see that he basically kind of accelerated several, or brought up and answered several questions in like the span of a couple pages, where it was like, okay, so the people can't, the people have not been able to mount an organized resistance on their own because of these reasons, and we need weapons. And then, okay, here's where the weapons are going to come from. We're going to be able to get that. He kind of yada that whole thing to accelerate it, because we can get the sense that, okay, this is just sort of the starting point for this rebellion arc against Orochi and everything. And I will say, particularly with those pages, that I got the sense, and I'm not saying that I necessarily am that afraid that this is going to happen, but it was kind of the first point. So going through Wano, I think he's had this really breakneck, like very efficient pace of, introducing little story bits, and then, using them up and kind of moving us forward to the next scene, and the next, moving us up to the next level into the, kind of the backstory, and the explaining how everything fits together in Wano and whatnot. And I feel like he's, that's been for good reason, because it's obviously going to be a very big arc, and he doesn't want to get hung up on like the small time stuff. So we're kind of accelerating through this stuff. But it was definitely the first point where I was like considering, okay, so we've got all these different names for samurai, and we've got these, we're introduced to these new sort of almost apocryphal figures, and we've got these other designs of samurai, and we've had these brief scenes with characters like Shinobu and Shutenmaru, and it did make me, wonder, like, is it a potentially a bad sign that maybe he's going to go through all of this so fast that none of the like side characters really ever get kind of fleshed out into feeling like proper characters, or are they all just going to be these very brief set pieces? And I don't know. I don't have any reason to believe that it's definitely going to happen that way. But I think this was the first chapter where I was like, okay, all of these characters, and then now there's a mystery figure in the prison, and now there's a mystery figure on the cooking area, and it just almost feels like it's overwhelming as far as like how can all of these things end up being important or getting the amount of time that he could potentially devote to them if he wanted to. So
yeah,
that was
we haven't
definitely
even gotten to Orochi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's still several big characters that we have not seen yet. So that did cross my mind, but it wasn't necessarily to the detriment of this chapter or where we are right now, because it's just been tons of fun the last couple chapters. I think he's just he's really on a roll.
All right, Steve.
I liked it. I mean, I don't want to say like, oh, I don't like it as much as last week's chapter, but I think that's not a fair assessment considering like last week's chapter was very fan servicey because it was a half around the world chapter. The fun parts are fun. Oda's gags continue to be like on point. I'm really liking the character quirks. With Shinobu, I think he got it in his head that after creating the character from Film Gold, that like any chibi character now is actually giant. You get what I mean?
Mr. Tanaka.
Mr. Tanaka.
Yeah. Because everyone thought, oh, he's gonna be like Chopper size, right? And he's huge. So Shinobu's not quite as big, but I think now it's kind of like changed the way I look at some characters. But I got really nervous reading this chapter from the beginning because I thought, oh God, all these character names I'm gonna have to remember, and they're all gonna be very Japanese. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of the characters we saw at the beginning of this chapter could be like the equivalent of the Whitebeard pirates and allies. It's like, yeah, you can remember their names, but don't kill yourself over it. Zach is probably scribbling down trivia ideas as we speak, listening to this. But I'm just trying to think of if there's anything else I could say that really hasn't been said already. Gags were great. Really, the second half of this chapter is what made it awesome. Kind of felt like the ending. I kind of felt abrupt. I felt like there was a little bit more that could be told, but I mean, hopefully that just means that next week's chapter is going to be a lot more eventful, or swell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ed?
I enjoy Dobon's design so much, and also the idea of talking hippopotamus with the jaunty little hat. Always, it's always great for me. I can't resist the Harvey Birdman reference. It's probably not what it is, but I choose to believe. Kin isn't as he's not as evil as you might think, but he's not a good guy. Like, get that from this. He has no regard, I think, for people who are not. Like, he was known for attacking civilians, so that's what they talked about him back in Sabati. So it'll be interesting to see where like his morals, or if he tries to conflict with what Luffy does later on. So that'd be interesting.
He straight up crucified people, I think, at a point. Like, he's not a good dude.
Yeah.
But he probably eats bread.
Making him better than Law.
Certainly more relatable, at least. And Caribou's there, so I feel like Caribou and Kid are gonna end up together, just because like they attract each other.
well, you can't take that to Tumblr anymore, so.
Get ready for your Twitter feed.
Yeah, but I don't know. There wasn't much else. I was enjoying the sort of the little adventures, but like, how many of these little? Steven was saying, how many of these little adventures are going to add up until? I guess every character is going to have something to do, and I feel like it might draw. I mean, they kind of have to have something to do, but but also this is the kind of stuff that draws arcs out, as you were saying. So, like, it's nice when every character has a storyline, but does every character really need to have a storyline? Sometimes they can do things together. Anyway, yeah, I don't know, Alex, what do you think?
So I think the exact opposite. Like, I don't think that's a detriment. I really like this chapter, and I think that those of you who didn't really enjoy it would probably like it better if last week's chapter wasn't the chapter that it was. Part of the reason I really like this chapter is the fact that we're kind of nesting back into Wano. Like we're back into it after, only 3 pages away from it. Honestly, like last week's chapter was like, let's go away from Wano for a little bit and then get back to it. I feel like I'm cozy. I'm back in. Like we got a lot of info in this chapter, as Steven said. I think we got the silhouettes of the 2 other samurai that Kinemon was talking about. I like seeing everybody's little jobs that they're doing to make this bigger picture to move the story along. I particularly liked the page that Joey read, the guy who's like, oh, I don't care if I have to fight barehanded. Like, that's the kind of thing that I just really want to see, like how the country is going to react to all of this. Yes, I'd like to see the Straw Hats, reunited as one, but Wano, I think, is going to be one of these really cool arcs where I think it'll hold up in one go. Like if it gets reread, like its own self-contained arc. I'm like, I was already like thinking about this when we're seeing Nami with Shinobu and Sanji at his soba cart. I keep thinking to myself, man, I'm gonna love to like reread this entire arc, but only read like the only read the one one story in chronological order. Like all the Luffy and Kid stuff, I can take a back seat to that for this particular reread. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a bunch of different ways to read it.
Because they have like mini arcs, like the last part had like the sumo arc and things like that.
That's also harder to enjoy on a week-to-week basis.
I don't know. I'm really digging it. It's noticing all the like samurai movie tropes and stuff like that is really, I don't know, it's really getting me excited. And the fact that they the thing that they have to eat is millet. It's like if you've ever seen Seven Samurai, that's what they are reduced to eating is millet. Like it's little stuff like that. Let's see, Caribou, who cares? Kid's cool. I'm like, I think what made me really warm up to Kid is seeing him go toe to toe with Luffy, like sort of like how Luffy was with Teach when they first met, but also seeing Fat Kid, like that sort of it. I don't know if it doesn't really humanizes him, but it like it puts him on a similar level to Luffy that I really enjoy. Dobon's character design is amazing. That's been said already, but like I love that Oda is going nuts with these designs. It's sort of how I felt about the Charlotte family when they were showing up in the last arc. Like, wow, he's really going nuts. He's going Mondo nuts with these designs. He's going nuts Island with these designs, and I feel like he has a separate like a separate piece of like a section of his brain reserved for all the headliners. They've all been excellent. I wonder what kind of role Old Man Hyo is going to play. And I wonder how long they're actually going to spend in the prison, because they mentioned last chapter that Raizo was organizing the prison break. So I
have a feeling like Kid and Luffy are just going to do it on their own because they're tired of not getting fed well. And then Raizo shows up like, all right, I'm here to break you guys out, and the prison's gone.
kind of hope so, yeah. I wanted to note this. I like what Nami did with her hair. She doesn't have it in a ponytail often. Looks good. And I thought it was really nice seeing Sanji serve food to ladies without hearts in his eyes.
Mm.
They're well, his eyes are closed. That's why you can't see them.
Oh, true. But yeah, I am looking forward to seeing what else we've got. The final battle is going to be pretty sweet, I think. I can't wait to see all of these samurai and warriors all armed up. It'll be good.
Hopefully they're not taking out like the zombie generals.
All right. Well, I'm an optimist in this case.
All right. I don't know why I put that out there. I thought it'd be funny.
All right. Should we get into the piece together?
Let's do that.
All right.
Hey everybody, it's the Piece Together segment for One Piece Podcast episode 540 for the week of December 3rd, 2018, where we answer your questions, your comments, your theories, and I can't think of a fourth thing that Zach usually just half-asses. So we're just going to go right into it with...
This piece.
Thank you, Ed. There we go.
Yeah.
What do we got on Discord?
Jill?
Okay. So Windfire asks, I noticed that you guys did not talk about this much. We now know that Wano has craftsmen who can create and shape sea stone into various things. Frankie is also undercover as an apprentice craftsman, which may give him access to the knowledge of making sea stone. Possible sea stone weapons for the crew as a power-up? Also, if Kinemon's plan plays out properly, the Reverie will have finished long before, lessening the impact of an emperor or two being taken down. Most likely the Marines will try to cover it up, as it will cause global panic. Thoughts? Also, I hope that Zach has a wonderful trip to Southeast Asia.
He's actually back in America at this point. He's just too jet-lagged to be on the show tonight. He's probably asleep as we speak.
Probably had a terrible trip to work if he went to work today.
Oh, boo.
I really hope he didn't.
I don't know. He's not me, so maybe he stayed home.
Yeah, I didn't have much to add to those ideas. I thought they were interesting. The idea of like Frankie being able to sculpt things with sea stone and stuff.
I mean, obviously,
cool.
those weapons would only be for particular members of the crew.
Yeah.
Not everybody. But,
I mean,
Zoro.
I mean, Smoker had sea stone weapons.
But it was only in the
have
tip.
a handle.
Yeah.
They
so,
did say
like,
it was just the tip for smoke. So, yeah, that would be interesting. I'd like that. Maybe Usopp, I think, would benefit.
that'd be good. Little sea stone like bullet things.
Yeah, like the flamingo had, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Sea stone just seems too evil.
What I think is that from several chapters ago, this idea of having the sea stone nails, I feel like that is gonna be like a sort of like reoccurring thing that we're like, oh, this seemed like a special thing for Wano, but now everybody has like teeny tiny sea stone bullets and things.
Yeah, I guess that by pointing out that nails were like a new thing to Law, or that he was surprised that they could do that. I guess that was kind of like an insinuation that, okay, so there haven't been like, that's why there aren't like sea stone bullets all over the place with like the government and everything. Is that it's too hard to do, so it was remarkable that there were nails, things as small as nails. So
yeah, but once the rules of manga, now that it's been introduced, it can be used whenever.
Ready for inflation.
Yeah.
All right. Was there anything else on this piece?
Yeah, there's a few more. Okay. Narthan says, Eustace Kid kills civilians. Where do we get this fact from? As far as I know, it is stated in Shabandi as the reason for his high bounty. The thing is, we know the world government lies about the reason for bounties. Kid is rough, but we haven't actually seen him harm non-combatants at all. I feel like we should remember that as he becomes more prominent in the story. Let's judge him on his actions rather than the rumors spread by the Marines.
Oh, we did talk about this week, where he notices the plight of the injured man not at all, whereas Luffy picks him up and defends him. So
yeah,
there is a difference there.
I think it's worth pointing out too that Bartolomeo was described as like taking thumbs from like local ruffians, and Capone is like a guy who goes into organizations and cuts the head off the leader. And like, we've got plenty of examples of characters who are described as being like super cruel or vicious, and then we find out that once they're in the story, they're actually like not that bad, or they have reasons.
No. But like Capone, that's exactly what he tried to do to the Big Mom pirates. Like...
No, but that's what I mean is like but Capone, like we like Capone because he's like a cool guy, and he certainly cares about his family and stuff. So that's what I'm saying is like oftentimes we get like this image or a description of a character when they're out of the story as being like super badass to build them up and hype them up a little bit, and then it's more nuanced when you see them.
It's also like the bit from pre-Water 7 where Luffy's like, oh yes, the Marines are the good guys usually.
Right. Yes. He has to be reminded of that.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Joe. Hello, Joe. Now that Shiryu has the invisibility fruit, will he face Sanji's wrath much like Absalom did in Thriller Bark? Part of me wants that, just to have Shiryu in an awkward situation for once, him being astounded at Sanji for wanting a devil fruit for such a stupid reason.
I think Sanji had his fill. I think it's Zoro's time.
I wasn't on last chapter, but like, how would that even hold up against hockey? Like, would it be useful at all?
Or like observation hockey.
Yeah, like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
go against Zoro. Zoro's like, joke's on you, only have one eye anyways. Not that hard to close it.
It's Zoro Sanji's like, wait, you don't have observation hockey? I mean, everyone's got observation hockey. Usopp's got observation hockey. Hey, Usopp, why don't you kick this guy's ass? Usopp just beats the shit out of Shiryu.
Next is from Morgul, who says, I'm sure you guys must have noticed your favorite character in the prison this chapter, but since this panel was alongside that line of dialogue about cutting off all limbs, it makes me wonder if maybe Caribou had suffered that punishment already. After all, you can't see his arms and legs in that panel.
I got confused.
God,
I
I
got
hope
confused
so.
because Sanji was out on the street selling food, not in the prison. So
He's always got those like long sleeves.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so
That'd be great. It just got like, pulls it up, just stumps.
Man, Caribou's gross. He's the kind of dude who doesn't cut his nails.
ugh.
Or he would just fool them, like he would, because he has his swamp powers, so they would cut off his arms, and he'd be like, "Oh, you got me! My arms are gone," and they just melt away, and he grows, more from his swampy.
I
But yeah,
do.
'cause we don't. Go ahead.
I do wonder if they know about his powers. He is.
Yeah.
He's surprisingly good at concealing that.
Mm,
He's sneaky.
yeah.
All right. Next is Grim Pyro, who says, for the past couple weeks, Alex has mentioned a character's name, and that character has shown up in the following chapter. He needs to start mentioning characters we like. Also, this Hippo Smile user, even though he was short-lived, has my new favorite design. I'm assuming his name is short for Hippopotamus. I wonder what even more outrageous besides that. I feel like Otis been watching too many Cronenberg movies.
Oh my god.
That's good.
hippopotamus, everyone.
Oh man, that should have been. The
No, it's
title.
better than a hippo top of you. No, that doesn't work.
Save it for Queen
Hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus.
Hippopotamus? You think that's Greek? Oh man. Sorry. That's from C Lab.
So,
Sweet dreams,
Alex,
doppelganger.
mention a character you want to see next week.
Django.
Okay.
Fake a punk.
There we go.
That's what I want.
I
And a
can
root.
neither confirm nor deny
Fine,
the presence
I
of Django.
Fine, I will say Vegapunk. How about that?
Mm.
God. All right, and last question on Discord is from our friend Abdul. Hey OPP, you all probably already discussed this, but are the two samurai mentioned at the beginning of this chapter the other two we saw with Ashar Doji a few chapters ago?
Yeah, that's kind of the question, isn't it?
I think so.
Nobody. Yeah, it seems likely, but we don't know for sure. And yeah, I think that's it for Discord or this piece. Yeah.
That's it for this piece.
Great.
All right, get the emails, Alex.
Email. We got 4. Here we go. Hey, here's one from Joshua Collins. He says, your show has become a favorite of mine during my week here in New Brunswick. I have 3 questions/observations. 1, with King's resemblance to Mr. Anime himself, Gladius, does that make him the edgy cosplayer with black angel wings? Father Anime.
Oh man, Father Anime.
Good.
No. It's Gladius would do. He's Dr. Anime because Gladius would just say, No, I'm Mr. Anime. Dr. Anime is my father.
Father. That's great. Yeah,
I never got my GED.
He also links to a Neon Genesis Evangelion The Lost 4 Kids opening parody video, in case we hadn't seen it, which I'll share with you guys.
I don't know. That sounds like it's just gonna make me sad.
And it says here in honor of Ed's new Twitter about anime trailers,
All right.
aka @WeebTrailers, go follow it. And he says, great. What is everyone's favorite 90s anime, or if not 90s anime purchased from Suncoast, Sam Goody, Coconuts, etc.? I really liked Tenchi Muyo for a while. What if harem anime become good grief? Bonus, did Ed and Zach attend Rutgers? If so, DC +1.
No, we went to school in DC. But I think as far as like 90s anime, like something I would have seen like from Blockbuster would like the Street Fighter movie or Ninja Scroll or something, probably. Yeah.
Fatal Fury the motion picture.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of money on Trigun DVDs in the 90s.
Most of my favorite anime are from the 90s.
Okay, well, give us one.
I mean, I'm a huge Yu Yu Hakusho guy. So
did you purchase that at Suncoast Video?
I think my first DVD I got at a Best Buy. Wait, no, Suncoast. I believe I got a DVD from there when they had a huge Funimation sale.
Oh, there you go.
So, yes.
I had one in my mall, but I can't remember what I got from there.
Like every CD store, like in the mall, just turned into something else. Like we used to have the Wall, then like that just like got usurped by Suncoast. Then Suncoast got usurped by like FYE, and now everyone just pirates everything.
There's still FYEs occasionally in malls. Yeah. You'll see them, but yeah, not much else.
I think my first anime VHS purchase was at a Software Etc., which is a computer game store, which I believe got bought out by Electronic Boutique, which then got bought out by GameStop, and now that's the only game store in existence, and they only sell Funko Pops. So the circle of life, wow.
So that's gonna be every convention.
Yeah. Oh, what was the VHS? Do you remember?
Oh, it was Final Fantasy: The Crystal Chronicles.
That's right. Legend of the Crystals. Yeah.
Legend of the Crystals.
Oh man, that was. Dude, that I had never seen that trailer before I posted that. That looks awful.
So,
yeah.
Fatal Fury is easily my favorite 90s anime, and I rented it from Blockbuster. But I distinctly remember the first anime VHS I ever bought from a Suncoast was Tenchi Muyo, the movie Tenchi Muyo in Love. And it was the dub.
Did he actually love somebody in that?
It's about his mom. Have you not seen it?
He loves his mom? I mean, we all love our moms.
Yeah. It's a good movie.
Tenchi is actually the movies. Tenchi is one of the franchises I don't think I've ever seen any of it.
No, really?
Same actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like I've seen much more Sailor Moon than like Tenchi.
Well, Ryoko's the original waifu, and now Alex has ruined Washu for me, but somehow he's also ruined the movie Octopussy for me. So now,
I was going to say that Washu
line, that's my little Octopussy. I hear the line, that's my little Washu.
That's my little Washu pussy.
Shut the fuck up.
Oh man, I like that movie. I must have seen that movie twice.
Yeah. Good.
Okay, so Martin says, "Dear One Piece podcast, did anyone make a Peter Potamus reference? Was Ed who did it?"
I think you know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I was just because I was thinking about the Adult Swim podcast you're going to be doing, Steve, and I was lamenting that none of the almost like only one Peter Potamus GIF on like the GIF Twitter search is from Harvey Birdman. All the rest of them are from his own show and they're not funny.
Who gifts that?
Exactly.
Who goes out of their way to GIF Hanna-Barbera cartoons? They all look the same anyway. They're just standing stiff while their heads are twitching.
Potamus is flying balloon or something, I think. Anyway.
Okay.
Stay tuned for the deep end. It's coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, plugs later.
I want an entire episode about Danger Doom.
I don't even know what that is, but I guess we'll do it.
Oh, is that the Frisky Dingo?
No, that was the MF Doom Adult Swim album.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow, shit.
Danger Mouse and MF Doom, Danger Doom.
A lot of voiceovers.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Man, skits.
Yeah, remember when every rap album had to have a skit in it?
I don't know. The skits were okay on that album because they had like Master Shake.
Yeah, no, I like them, but like that's the kind of skits are always the thing that age the worst. Like,
Oh yeah,
That's
oh yeah.
it's every Lisa song.
All right,
I'm
moving
sorry,
on.
I listened to 80s music.
Was it before or after JoJo?
Oh
Moving on.
yeah.
All right, this is from Jacob. He says, "Dear One Piece podcast, I would like to address that the reason that Luffy and Kid are now able to deflate after eating all that food is both a gag and realistic in the One Piece world. If they know, and I believe they do, the life return, aka Seimei Kikan technique that is used by both Gucci Lucci and Kumadori of CP9. P.S. In which the Simpson, which Simpsons characters are One Piece character or vice versa, or how in the hell did you guys not say that Law is Dr. Ed? I think he means Dr. Nick.
Oh, Law is a much better doctor than Dr. Nick.
yeah, but I'm sure both don't know what flammable really means.
Dr. Heroic is more like Dr. Nick.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Steve, draw those.
That's a good question.
So yeah, the life return thing, that's interesting. Yeah, right? Like
It makes sense, yeah.
They just it's only given a name when Kumadori says it.
Yeah. He was the only one who thought of a cool name for it.
Yeah. All right, this is from Ryan. This is the last one for this week. Hey, so we finally find out what happened to everyone's favorite character, Caribou. Surprise, he's in jail. Also looks like Wapol's brother really let himself go, or Dobon is Wapol's cousin. I hope the title for this episode will be Hungry, Hungry Dobon. I hope you find this funny. Well, we do.
I hope you find our title funny.
Yeah. Well, I did love when Jill mentioned the Hungry Hungry Hippos thing.
That was very
funny.
Good
But
job.
okay, to like pull back for a second, like we all groan about Caribou, but I am very curious about the circumstances in which he got placed in jail.
No, same.
Well,
I I think the thing about Caribou is that he sort of kind of looks like a lame character, but anytime that he was in Fishman Island, it was dangerous. Like he was gonna kidnap the mermaids, and like I don't know, he has a pretty dangerous power.
I think he's smarter than he lets on. I think he's actually weaker than you think. Like when confronted with anyone of any sort of marginal hockey power, he would crumble, basically. But he can take out anyone else who doesn't have, like, because of how smart he is and how weird his power is. I think he can like neutralize people.
Well,
Today on
I think
Twitter, Sam knighted him Caesar number 2. So
Oh no.
Well, he's got the number 2 part right.
I think he deserves to be in jail. So I say the system works.
I just thought of something about Dobon. So when he poops, is it coming out of the hippo bottom or is it coming into the hippo's mouth?
Oh,
See, like that was kind of the question with Hold'em too, right? We were like, where, how many digestive tracts are, going on here?
These are the
hippo
questions.
centipede.
Yeah. Hippo centipede. Yeah, these are the questions that people should actually send into the SBS.
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
All right. Next is Reddit.
Oh, all right. Let's read them off Reddit. We'll start with Natachi, who says, "This is a very interesting chapter for multiple reasons. I would like your opinion on the role physical strength plays in utilizing the full potential of the devil fruit. How disappointed Kaido must be if he saw that his dreadful prison is being used as a boot camp by a couple of runts. So the question, which of these attributes play a major role in a person being able to utilize the full potential of his or her devil fruit? 1, hockey. 2, physical unadulterated strength. 3, time spent using the devil fruit. Or 4, any other factor. Given how almost all major players in One Piece at this point are either advanced devil fruit users or hacky users or both, and Luffy still has some catching up to do, what type of training might help him close the gap significantly?"
I mean, intelligence and creativity matters a lot when thinking about ways to use one's devil fruit, I think.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Would a stupid person come up with like Gear 4? You have to know like sort of what your body does and like have a curiosity about what you're doing with it to I think to master the devil fruit, especially in Luffy's case.
Yeah.
So I think that matters quite a bit.
With Luffy's power being more physical, I think his strength maybe would matter more than, say, Kid, who physical strength might not factor in as much.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, it definitely depends on the type of power as to whether or not that's like the main thing that is kind of being unlocked. But I don't know. It's also tricky to answer because, you know, like in a sort of absolute sense, like none of it necessarily matters because in the end, you know, Luffy's going to beat any, you know, serious antagonist. So, you know, it's just sort of a debate as to whether or not, okay, well, was that person actually using their devil fruit well and they got beat, or did they get beat because they weren't taking advantage of it? And, you know, it's just kind of fodder for debate, I guess.
Yeah.
Amiibo Hunter 000 has a call out. Why does Ed always seem so dismissive of other nerdy stuff like video games especially? Dude, being on a One Piece podcast is like the nerdiest of the nerdy things.
That's true.
Also, maybe Zach should take more vacations. It seems like whenever he's gone, we get these super cool reveals and new information. Love the podcast and everything you do.
No, it's just that I stopped playing. It's not that I like. I didn't choose to stop playing video games when I did, but that was like almost 15 years ago, pretty much. And like the way video games and gaming have come back into the national conversation, as we say, has been horrifying to me. Like the gaming culture, I'm gonna feel so bad for saying this, but like it's unleashed some of our worst cultural impulses over the last 2 to 3 years. Like in public, like airing all of our cultural dirty laundry. And
old man yells at cloud.
I feel it. Like I don't know. I kind of want to get back in like the video games. I remember I loved playing like Sonic, but I couldn't imagine caring like even about anime the way some people care about video games and like the messed up things people do. But I don't know. So much about video game culture baffles me, and I do not understand it at all.
Can I come to Ed's defense a little bit here? I like video games. I think I buy more video games than I actually play.
That's a problem with me too.
Yeah.
This is cheap. Whenever I get around to playing it, I'll play it, but then I never do.
Exactly. That's why I bought like Yakuza 0 and I still haven't opened that yet because I know like that game is going to be a commitment. I should just devote myself to indie games that are like 2 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happens when you become older, right? Like I feel like I used to make fun
Ed over here.
Yeah, I used to make fun of casual gamers. You know, like casual gamer is like an insult. But I'm like, well, when you have a life and a job, the only kind of gamer that you can kind of afford to be is a casual one.
Right. And with all the time I spend on wrestling and watching really old anime, I have no time for video games.
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, you have to just sort of like pick and choose what things you. Yeah, I devote a lot of my free time to other nerdy pursuits that take up a lot of time. So I just cut video games out, basically.
I don't know, and pretty much every time something about video game culture gets into my newsfeed, it's never good. It's besides, I don't know. I just.
It's okay.
Okay.
I can't even like. I can barely describe it. It's just like these people seem so negative. I don't get it. Like, do people not enjoy things? Do video gamers not enjoy things?
Ed, you watch wrestling.
Not nearly as much as I did like 6 months ago.
All right. Well, I'm sure that person was very happy to hear your answer.
Hey, don't rag on Ed too. Zach is just as
no, he plays more video games than I do. I'm just saying, if you enjoy things, talk about the things you enjoy. That's how I did this podcast in the first place. There's so much negativity around video games, and that's the part that baffles me. Like, why do you people torture yourselves like this?
Or like so much negativity around everything in general. It's like, oh, this movie really sucks. I'm like, why don't you watch a good movie and then talk about why that movie's good?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
People don't do enough of that. And there's some good people out there doing that kind of stuff. And their videos are way more enjoyable than someone's like, let's watch this crappy movie and have some laughs. And I'm like, I'm not really laughing.
Well, it's because I think when people criticize something, it makes them seem like they're smarter than they actually are.
I can see that. Yeah.
Man, we're really unpacking a lot on this podcast.
Yeah.
It's like all you have to do is like anything else, like just talk shit about Sanji, and you'll really set me off tonight.
All right, can you please get off my couch now? Page 712 has a question, a very important question about the Fishman Island arc. I am very confused. I'm greatly confused about the actual size of the island and how it makes absolutely no sense.
Preach.
It's 10 kilometers under sea, but because it's a sphere, its height would be the same as its width. So if we were to guess the island is 5 to 10 kilometers in width, then the actual island would be close to breaching the surface. Plus, since it's located in a trench 7 kilometers down, then at best, it has to be 3 kilometers wide, which makes no sense considering the sense of scale we have from the island. Has this issue ever been recognized by Oda? Because it seems like a pretty big issue when you think about it. Well, one thing I don't believe that is accurate. Like, actually, I saw this question and I was like, you know what, I should go look and see, look at the descent to Fishman Island just to make sure. And they do say it is 10,000 meters under the sea. But I don't know if we ever got an accurate description as to how big the city itself is. There was one scene where was it Hody Jones or someone throws like a water bubble or something like across the length of Fishman Island, and Oda wrote in a panel like, meanwhile, like 5,000 kilometers away, and it's like, wait, no, that's like the length of the United States. Like, this is not, so something is wrong here. So he clearly goofed on the numbers there, but I forget if he actually even changed that.
Didn't he change it? Yeah, I think there was a difference between the jump chapter and the collected chapter.
But yeah, it's I think the answer of the story is you don't look too hard for the answer. That's the answer, because Oda's his grasp of physics and scale are not they work on cartoon logic. We'll just put it that way.
Yeah, if you're wondering how they eat or breathe or other science facts, just repeat to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax.
Like, Frankie shouldn't be alive right now.
Yeah.
Most of them shouldn't be, really.
He got hit by a train.
He got blown up real good.
And he replaced most of his body. Like, I always wondered, like, how, okay, it's Frankie's awesome, but how did he replace his hands when he needed his hands to replace his hands?
One hand at a time.
How does he make sissy?
Oh, I mean pee-pee?
Let's see. Samuel 1698. Doesn't the fact that sea prism stone originates in Wano and is able to be forged as small as a nail strike you guys as sort of a Chekhov's gun? I can see the Straw Hats getting their hands into some of it, perhaps Frankie being able to incorporate it into some weapons and using them against Kaido. Wouldn't surprise me if there were a few sea prism stone swords out there that Zoro could get his hands on, or raw material Frankie would put into Sanji's raid suit. Could be the way to defeat Kaido. He's probably incredibly strong without his devil fruit, but he's definitely stronger because of the Zoan fruit he ate, so nullifying it might help make him weak enough to sustain damage. I liked the Chekhov's gun aspect of it, where it's like, yeah, it seems like there has to be something of importance that comes out of that, that we're here now, where they're saying that the Sea Prism Stone comes from. Same thing with the poneglyphs. Like, you don't put all that stuff in one place unless there's going to be a bunch of answers for them. So good suggestions. Let's see. ATLA for Life says, I was wondering what you guys think of the idea of Kinemon being the one to face off and take down Orochi. The more I think about it, the more I think it makes sense. 3 main things keep coming to my mind when I think about this. 1, Kinemon has been the leader of the samurai part of the alliance since we met him, but especially so since Wano began. He's coordinated the different parts of the samurai and conducted the plan to take down Kaido. He was also the one to promise Toki, and the comment he made last chapter to Ashura made me think there's more to him. 2, a lot of people said Zoro would be the one to fight Orochi, but I don't think that makes much sense. The Straw Hats are interested in fighting and taking down the Animal Kingdom pirates. After all, they are pirates.
Yes.
Almost every time they fought the royalty of a country, they themselves have been pirates as well. When Wano ends, the Straw Hats will move on in their adventure, but the people of Wano need a leader. Momo isn't ready yet, and they'll need a regent to take over, which leads me to my last point. Number 3, when Kinemon was introduced to us in Punk Hazard, he was portrayed as Momonosuke's father. While this was for secrecy, I think that Oda was also foreshadowing the idea of Kinemon being the father figure for the Kozuki clan in Momo's region until he's ready to rule himself, just like Cobra has been for Vivi, Riku for Violet, and Rebecca, although obviously they themselves are royalty. Thoughts?
Well, there's also the aspect of the flaming sword. Orochi is said to be a multi-headed snake. If you know your Greek mythology, that's what you need to kill a Hydra, with a flaming sword.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I think when I first read this, I glossed over Orochi and I thought he was talking about Kaido when I was scanning the questions earlier, which definitely seems like crazy. But Orochi, I think, is actually a pretty good. I think there's definitely more potential for Kinemon to do this than any other like non Straw Hat character for sure. That's a pretty good one. And I also noted that the thing that he said about Ashura, that you've forgotten what kind of man I am, and I was like, that sounds like that doesn't sound like it lines up with everything that we know of Kinemon. So I would be interested to see if there's something more to his backstory too. Next is from OPG, who has a question about Robin's dad. I was looking up a timeline of One Piece and realized that her father was probably from Ohara. I began thinking about how old Olvia is. I couldn't find when she was born. She has white hair in Robin's flashback. We know Robin is about 32-ish. She doesn't have white hair. Could Olvia be even older than Dr. Kureha? Has nobody asked Wano? Excuse me. Oh, Oda. I was looking at the next line. Nobody asked
As a whole, the country.
Oh,
Yes.
great nation of Wano. Why is Robin's hair not white?
I always just took that to be like her design. I didn't think that
Yeah.
Olvia was like super old. I mean, she's not like, she doesn't have wrinkles like Kureha.
Yeah, like I imagine a young Olvia also having white hair
Right.
as a like little child.
I remember a lot of fan colorings used to color in blonde because they thought, oh, well, if Robin is Uma Thurman from Pulp Fiction, then maybe Olvia is Uma Thurman from Kill Bill.
Yeah,
Which I was kind of disappointed when she had white hair. I was like, kinda like that.
yeah, she looks basically the same. The thing that really confused me a little bit was that Yuriko Yamaguchi also voices Nico Olvia.
Oh, she does? Oh,
Yeah.
It's the Dragon Ball effect.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was like it. Yeah, that.
No,
really
she also
weirded
got to
me
play Robin's mom.
out.
I mean, dad. I'm sorry.
Oh, you know what, Steve? You just implied that she's not her blood mother. With
Oh,
your,
shut up.
your weird comment. No, but that'd be a funny. I mean, there's a One Piece conspiracy theory right there. Not her real mom.
They share the same damn birthday and look exactly alike.
They look exactly the same.
Maybe she's a clone.
There
They
you
have
go.
the same birthday?
Apparently, I just looked it up.
That's weird.
Oh, I'm surprised Olvia was cool with that because I know my mother and I, our birthdays are very close together, and I remember she said to the doctors like, "I'm not having this kid the same day as my birthday."
Like,
That's what happened with Ace.
Yeah, how
3 months later.
Oh, man.
No, except it was the opposite. Like, she wanted Ace's birthday to be her own birthday, and she was like, "Shit, nope, I missed it." It's like counting down off the clock on your wrist, and she's like, "What? Oh shit, I have to wait for it to go around again."
He kept forgetting, and then Ace came out as a toddler.
All right. DDD Freed has a pretty good question. With the release of the Viva cards, we've gotten a lot more info about our favorite characters. However, some of it interferes with my previous understanding of One Piece events. For example, it's been revealed that Shanks was already at Yonko, one of the four emperors, back during Romance Dawn. Now, that changes Romance Dawn in a lot of ways, and while I'm not quite sure how I feel about that in particular, it got me thinking about rejecting canon information in favor of one's personal headcanon. Are there times where you choose not to accept official data in a story? How do you know when to draw the line? How does it change your consumption of that work? It's certainly something I've done across multiple mediums. While I don't do it so much for One Piece, I do think it's interesting how Oda has shown such a willing flexibility to play with the universe's laws and reality.
It'd be hard for me with a series like One Piece, where there is such rich and deep lore and things might matter. But on the other hand, like last year I watched the anime Rakugo.
Oh, I was just gonna bring.
And
that
if
up.
anyone wants to forget that the last episode happened, that's fine with me.
Yeah, or just the last 30 seconds.
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
Just one line, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. I'd like to ignore that. Like, it's much easier. I have no problem doing it with like shorter series, but like, it's kind of impossible for me with One Piece. Like, I couldn't do it with One Piece, but I could definitely do it with other things.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead, Steve.
Joe.
Okay. With One Piece, it's like when I'm reading it, I don't forget the lore, but like I read a lot of fan fiction, and I don't mind if they forget the fact that apparently Whitebeard has no female fighters at all. Like that really bothers me. So I appreciate every fan fiction that just doesn't give a shit. So stuff like that.
Yeah.
I haven't had this problem with One Piece, but Toriyama, yeah, I'm looking at you, buddy.
Oh God!
And anyone who
who
works
even knows?
And whoever works on Dragon Ball. I mean, come on, Trunks with blue hair.
I mean, Dragon Ball kind of invites you to invent your own canon a little bit.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
With One Piece, no, I kind of, I never really said to Oda like, no, I refuse.
For me, the only thing in One Piece that I had a sort of headcanon about was just the spelling of Kid's name to make it more in line with.
That's the Mandela effect.
Nelson Mandela.
Yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
the Berenstein Bears.
Yeah.
Kazam.
Oh God.
No, Shazam.
So
with Sinbad.
Steve can relate, but I exhibit this with Star Wars. Like the prequels, I look at it as a different I looked at the prequels in a vacuum, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have my own personal headcanon in regards to the original trilogy is sort of along the lines of what the old expanded universe canon was, I guess. But I'm not bent out of shape about there being a new expanded universe canon. I just really like that Shadows of the Empire takes place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and that'll probably get retconned at some point. But in my mind, that it just works really well. So
I don't get hung up too much on stuff, especially because I think a lot of the, I tend to analyze things like very closely in terms of like storytelling techniques, and I feel like I am good at kind of rationalizing things as when you see something that's like, wait, why did Oda do that, or like why doesn't he explain this or that? It's usually because like, oh, he was trying to tell a story that did this one thing, and that other, all these questions that it raises are not addressed by the story, and therefore they kind of don't matter. And so, with stuff like, oh, Shanks was actually one of the four emperors while he was just hanging out in, little rural Goa, just like being undercover, and he's supposedly like one of the most feared and dangerous people in the world at the time. Like, I don't necessarily find it that difficult to reconcile or to even think about, because it's like, well, if Oda didn't address that directly, if he didn't make it something that you needed to know to understand what was going on in that part, then it kind of doesn't matter whether it's true or not. It's sort of a Schrodinger's cat thing where it's like, okay, well, maybe he was or maybe he wasn't, but all we see is him as the leader of this, kind of happy-go-lucky group of pirates, and that's all you really need to know about, Romance Dawn Chapter 1. So, I don't get too worried about things that, that are drastically kind of separated in time, that when you combine them and look at them side by side, they don't seem to add up. I'm just like, yeah, no, that's just what happens. So Toshigi Taisa this is another question about the names. I'm getting a bit confused with all the samurai names introduced in chapter 921. We had Ashura Doji, Kawamatsu, and Denjiro. Now we know that Shutemaru is Ashura Doji. After this chapter, could it be that Hitokiri Kamazo is Kawamatsu because of the similar hairstyle, and Ushimitsu Kozo is Denjiro? Was it common for samurai to have multiple aliases? I don't know. I mean, I think in general, it's probably true that, like, especially if you were a person of note, like if you were a samurai who worked for, a famous lord or something like that, you would get different names, or like the more ranks that you rise, like you're often given some new ceremonial name or something like that. So, I don't think it's not necessarily that surprising or out of the ordinary for them to have multiple names. But it is also a pattern that Oda has, where he also just in general makes up lots of different titles for characters, and like before you see them, they might have a certain nickname or a certain title, and then when you see them, they have a more official title, and then they either don't refer to that first title again, or it's only used every now and then. That's why you have like the general, Big Mom's generals, but they're also the Sweet Three, and Kaido is like the strongest beast in the world, but he's also like the captain of the pirates, and it's like they kind of come and go as he uses them. So I think it's also probably has something to do with Oda's habits as a storyteller, and as he kind of fleshes out the characters that he designs.
Mm-hmm.
Tyriak says, a couple chapters ago, Steven discussed the Joe Hakyu format in the context of chapter 294's title, and said that I was not convinced based on the evidence available at the time. I don't think it was mentioned last week, but did this change last chapter when the shamisen player introduced Act 2 with Ha? If so, Oda might do a similar double meaning at the end of Act 2 with a chapter titled Q, perhaps when all 9 Q of the red scabbards appear together.
Oh, neat.
That's cool. I like that idea. Actually, I did not. I didn't bring that up last week, and I feel like I maybe briefly noted it when I read the chapter, but then didn't think about it again with the Ha part leading in. But
although if they have a chapter called Q and at the end they say where we go one we go all, I think that could set off the conspiracy people. No, okay, no, okay, good. No one here knows what I'm talking about. That's really encouraging.
I know what you're talking about.
I saw some shit on Reddit, and that's about it.
That's a very cool idea, and I think actually yes, the shamisen player going Ha at the start with the in the scene where they're playing the shamisen and opening the curtains, I think that's actually way more convincing to me than the chapter title for the previous one. So, but it's a neat little confluence of evidence there for sure. Getting towards the end here, Black Star says Usopp's gathering of the samurai this chapter has me curious about the 9 scabbards. Do you think the prophesied samurai will include the Straw Hats or only the samurai from Wano? Also, with so many characters in this arc, do you think we'll see a split in groups again? Say, for instance, the Straw Hat crew headed to take down Kaido and the samurai of Wano going to usurp Orochi. Thanks, OPP crew. Keep up the good work.
That's absolutely what I think is going to happen, because to overthrow Orochi, it kind of has to be the people of Wano to do that. Like, pirates can fight pirates, but as the previous questioner was saying, that's going to be like Kinemon's job to lead that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there are lots of players in this arc, and we've only seen like the very beginning of the movement, and I don't know. I guess I don't see necessarily one gigantic climactic battle that involves everyone all at the same time. It doesn't seem like it would go that way, in my opinion. So yeah, I agree with that. And lastly, we have Pencils for Life. What are some characters you love seeing forced to interact together, like Luffy and Kid this chapter? Are there any you hope to see together? Personally, I hope we see Usopp and Buggy in a lie-off before the series ends.
I don't know. Killer and Zoro could have a staring silently contest.
I'd like to
It'd be
see
funny
more.
if it was with Brooke. You can't tell who blinks
There you go.
first.
Yeah. I'd like to see. I'm trying to think of like a character that would have like characters that would have a dynamic like Mr. One and Mr. Two. Like because Mr. One always looked exasperated, like around when he was around Mr. Two. Maybe something like like Akainu and I want to see actually Akainu and Garp like hang out, like that. That's a dynamic.
Like he wouldn't put up with the kind of like ribbing that Sengoku puts up with.
Yeah, like I have no idea how he would how each of them would handle each other. Like Garp would probably still be his I don't give a shit attitude, but it would probably annoy the crap out of Akainu or Sakazuki rather.
I'd like to see Law and Hawkins just hang out, like just sitting there, not saying a single word for a couple hours.
Silently commiserating.
Yeah. And then they leave. Nice chat. Yeah.
Pretty good. But that was the last one.
That's it for Reddit.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I guess it's time to
Peace the tweet. Yeah.
All right. Let's piece the tweet.
Sure. First one comes from Sniper of My Heart, who wrote in a few days ago just to send us this picture of Jinbei flying in through the window. So check that out on Twitter if you like, as we mentioned in last week's episode. And Return to Sabati says, this is a little early to submit something, but I didn't want to forget about it, so here. I read an article about how hawks can start wildfires by bringing burning sticks to new locations in their beaks. King is the wildfire, and he has wings. Maybe he's a hawk zone.
What a bunch of assholes.
It's
Yeah,
not
man,
welcome in California.
Yeah.
Birds are dicks.
Yeah.
They are. Birds are dicks.
I mean, I know that eagles will like. There's like some documentary footage of like eagles picking up like baby goats, like mountain goats, and like just lifting them off the ground and then dropping them to kill them. Yeah.
Wow. Birds are dicks.
Yeah.
I'm just picturing this bird, like they're like, oh god, here comes the wildfire, and he just like picks up a stick that's on fire and like drops it in front of him, and one of them just like looks at it and just like puts it out, so he gets another stick, just like one piece at a time.
Kind of reminds me how Miss Friday would just drop a bomb onto Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine, just comically out of nowhere.
I love it.
All right, next one comes from Ghost Starch. It says, in Chapter 921, one of Jack's ships has a scorpion figurehead. Could this be proof of Queen having some version of the scorpion fruit? It would make sense that Queen would have sent reinforcements from his fleet in the fight against the minks.
He's gonna put him in the boo box.
Queen is played by Glenn Close.
I mean, it actually could be played by Bob Hoskins, though.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Or well, at least
It's
1990 version of Bob Hoskins.
Yeah.
The live version.
Yeah. All right. But there really isn't any proof of that, though. Any other evidence for it? But keep an eye out. In Tab F says, so Kid has the same kind of body Luffy does. Fast healing, high metabolism, incredibly strong. So Kid seems like the perfect rival for Luffy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we're all warming up to him.
Yeah. Dark Leviathan says, so Bakugo and Goku are training with special cuffs in base form before fighting Kaido. Got it. So when will Frankie upgrade the Sunny with Sea Stone? After all, he is learning from the only people capable of refining it. Maybe that's it. Like, you can be like a marine ship. You can sail anywhere through any...
Right.
Oh, yeah, cool.
That would be a good use of that. And finally, Nura G123 has a question about purchasing stuff. Hey OPP, for those who don't have access to legal platforms for the anime or manga, does ordering box sets, DVDs, manga volumes justify using illegal sites? In countries that has no official stream for One Piece, how do they support the series? I mean, if you're
I
living...
feel like everyone should do their best.
Basically,
You know?
yeah. I mean, like, import fees are high. If you can't afford it, don't, strain yourself. If the companies haven't chosen to make it available legally in your area, there isn't much you can do except tell them that you want it and find whatever way you can to read it.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
tell
but
your
if you can read
parents.
the English volumes, they're great. So, if you have the means to import them, go for it,
Yeah, we had I think we had a listener last week who mentioned that they don't have Weekly Shonen Jump in their country, but they did end up importing the box sets, which is a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, I mean, and you can get like, I guess, I mean, 3 different box sets, and that's most of the series up to this point. So that's it's a possibility. It's not cheap, however, though.
Yeah,
it aside from the actual the actual legal system in your country or whatever that may have to say about it. I mean, kind of at the end of the day, it's all down to your personal yardstick for what you consider to be, like, oh, is this okay with me, or do I feel bad about this? Should I try? What are my options? And it's kind of up to you. That's the only thing that really matters at the end of the day is how do you feel about this. You feel guilty? Well, maybe you look into other options. If you feel like there really isn't any other option, well then, hey, look, it's up to you to do what you're going to do. Nobody else can really force you or shame you out of doing whatever. So, it's just kind of like follow your heart, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. Or if you have, if there's a manga publisher that you know of, just write to them and say, Nickelodeon Magazine, please.
But that's the last piece of the tweet. So, you want to round out the show?
Let's do that.
Okay.
This has been the One Piece podcast. I'd like to thank everybody who came on this week for taking time out of their busy schedules to lend their voices. So let's go around the horn. Joey, thanks for coming on. Where can we find you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Joey Weiser. JoeyWeiser.tumblr.com is where I post news about my comics for the time being, until Tumblr implodes, I guess. Shouldn't be any adult content in there, so who knows, but... check out Merman, my graphic novel series. It's a 5-volume series that's good for all ages, especially young readers, and would make an excellent holiday gift this time of year. And listen to Alex and I with our friend Scott every month on Toho Yaro, a monthly Japanese film club podcast. Our most recent episode is about Sweet Bean, a really great sweet movie about an old lady making beans, making dorayaki, basically. And then, and coming up pretty soon, we're going to be talking about The Funeral by Juzo Itami, the I think first film of the director of Tanpopo.
Yep. All right. Yes, please follow us. Jill.
You can find me on Twitter and most other social media at PiratusOnLuck. That's about it with my life right now.
You working on any new cosplay, Jill?
I'm kind of in my never-ending quest to make my Big Mom cosplay better.
That's perfectly fine with me.
Flaming hair.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no, I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to
Flames
figure out how to do that. One of my friends
inside
is
your
really good with
face.
wigs. But I'm going to remake the hat and I think tie little balloons with Prometheus and Zeus and like have those floating behind me.
That's
Okay.
great.
Or maybe make a Napoleon sword. I got to figure it out.
Nice.
But Anime Los Angeles is in January in Ontario Convention Center, and I will be there unless something happens. So
Great. Steven.
Yes, you may find me on Twitter at Translatosaurus for mostly cat pictures. And it's we're kind of when we wind on to the end of the year, we get lots of jump breaks, and I'm sure there will be an Oda break in there too as well. So I don't know how often I will be around for the next month or so. But we do have a new volume that just hit the newsstands, so I'm sure I will be around for that as well at some point. So you will still hear from me. Don't worry.
Cool. Steve Yurko.
Sorry, folks. You won't be hearing from me too often. Work beckons, so I don't think I'll be on as frequently, which breaks my heart. But it's okay. You get Zach back. So enjoy your boring chapters. Of course, you could follow me on Twitter, Instagram, I guess Tumblr. Steve Yurko, it's all one word. And you could also hear me on some upcoming podcasts. I recorded a new episode of Toon Sweet, my wrestling theme podcast with our good friend Doctor. And there's a new podcast that is underway. We've recorded some episodes. It's called The Deep End. It's an Adult Swim podcast I do with Matthew J. Please follow us on Twitter. I think that's Adult Swim Pod. Should be coming out sometime this month.
Great. Oh, man.
Awesome.
Hooray. Are you doing any conventions, Steve?
Oh, yeah, and I will be doing MagFest in National Harbor, Maryland, weekend after New Year's.
Hell yeah. Okie dokie. Ed.
And just another member of our podcast, I got to listen to Brian Newton doing an interview on the Cartoons 101 Patreon podcast that dropped today. And that was a good interview. They talked mostly about Rick and Morty. Check that interview out. That's really good. But as for me, I am at Weeb Trailers on Twitter, posting a lot of Funimation mid-2000s trailers. Got a Funimation channel ad up there, which apparently still exists. If anyone has the digital cable channel Toku on their cable system, that was the X Funimation channel. It changed its name a few years ago, but anyway, check out the old trailers up there. And
Thanks for posting the Yu Hakusho one.
Oh,
Good times.
there's another one coming. There's a different one too. There's other ones. But as for my regular account, that's Edward E. One Piece. I just passed 1,000 followers on that. I was surprised. Never expected to get that many followers, but I guess you people like my shit posts, so thank you very much. I'll follow Zach_Logan on Twitter, and the podcast can be found at OnePiecePodcast.com, Twitter.com, YouTube.com, and Facebook.com/OnePiecePodcast. OnePiecePodcast@gmail.com is our email address. One Piece Podcast is our Skype name. r/One Piece Podcast. That's our subreddit. Leave us some piece together there. Support us, patreon.com/One Piece Podcast. You can subscribe on SoundCloud, subscribe on Google Play, subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, or call us on our phone number. That's 347-497-MAJI. 347-497-6254. Call anytime.
Maji.
Anytime.
With all your whatever. Also, you can find me at *! on Twitter.
Oh, right.
Do it.
Yeah, I was just gonna wait until Ed finished to make him feel bad.
Well, it
Tweet
worked.
anytime.
But
Anytime.
please do rate and review because it helps us. It helps us get new listeners. It helps people find us. I'd encourage all of you to go out there and write a review. I wouldn't call it homework because that word is boring and evil and makes you not want to do things, but call it extra credit.
It's a field trip.
Yeah, it's a field trip.
Yay!
Partial credit.
So rate and review, please. It's very good for us, and you want to see us thrive, don't you? So I guess we'll see you all back next week with Zach. Zach will be at the helm.
Zaculon's back.
All right.
And I guess for the One Piece podcast, my name is Alex.
My name is Ed.
And my name is Steve.
We'll see you next week, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You're a wizard, Double.
Sitting on that one, weren't you?
You had to get it
I
in
was
somehow.
waiting. I had to get it a second time.
Yeah.
Hey, buzz off, kid.
Yeah.